You get that whale fat as fuck, and you take the sword and you say, you know what? You need to give me 20 more fucking dollars. That's what happens.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the WoW News, where a lot has happened.
Good.
Blizzard's Shadowlands XP changes have changed again, and it seems like they're closing in on final balance. Then, Nvidia may have...
Like, how many times have they changed that? Like, they changed the experience in Shadowlands like 5 times. It's crazy.
Well, let slip an expansion release date window,
yeah,
which is fairly interesting. We might even have some funky book dates actually line up with that. Then Blizzard have made their largest move into paid transmogrification. They've also kind of killed Starcraft 2, and then many ex-Blizzard RTS staff have went and formed another competing Blizzard studio, just like Second Dinner, Dreamhaven, and the others. And then, of course, many key beta updates. And speaking of updates, you can update yourself with Skillshare. Today's sponsor, where the first 1,000 of you to click my link will get a free trial. And it's just $10 a month after that.
How about that,
pick
dude?
Is an awesome one from the fantastic Aaron
What is it? What do you got for us this time,
design
Bellular?
great stuff. Specifically with an eye to merch, which is something we're pretty keen on here. Aaron takes you through making really cool stuff. And hey,
that actually is cool. Like, we need to make OTK merch. Like, yeah, I do really want to do OTK merch at some point. We're going to be doing it very soon, okay? It just hasn't happened quite yet.
Here are 2 projects that students did based on this, right? So Pierce made these gorgeous Gaelic sort of chest designs, and here's an old school travel poster that this guy Josh did. That's some really cool stuff. It's so up our alley. I mean, hey,
yeah,
like here's
badass.
sort of a different vibe because we're the fantasy realm, but here's some like packaging we did recently. Design is so fun, and Aaron is such a great host to get you started with the whole thing. If you look at the reviews, 70% expectations exceeded, 28,000 plus students. You know it's worth checking out. The first 1,000 of you to click my link will get a free trial. So you can just go do it. You'll have a great time. Thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. And with that said, let's get stuck in.
This is my last one.
Okay, Shadowlands release date time. So, as we all know, the release date was supposed to be the 27th of October, but then it was delayed.
It got nerfed.
Now, Nvidia recently posted copy that says that the Shadowlands would release in November. Now,
wait a second, what does it say? The 8th expansion pack for the massively multiplayer online role-playing game adds support to ray trace shadows in November. Does that really mean that the game comes out then? I mean, like, I don't know. That seems a little bit unclear to me. It doesn't necessarily mean that.
Talking about, of course, the RTX support, and they said that, in November, that's when you'll get to experience it. Now, they obviously couldn't have been talking about pre-patch because that came out in October, and Nvidia said November. So what is this? Is this a confused partner, or is this perhaps an internal release window that has slipped out? I mean, my guesses have been the last week of November or first week of December for Shadowlands release.
That is not
so
good.
This would actually line up with one of those dates. Now, of course, this is something that I bring up because Blizzard and Nvidia have actually promoted World of Warcraft RTX.
Yeah, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense
I
at
would
all.
imagine their plans are decently in sync. Now, the other thing to bring up here is the book release date. This is for the Exploring the Eastern Kingdoms book, and it was originally set to release on October 20th, 2020. That's 1 week before Shadowlands was supposed to launch. It's now been delayed to November 24th, 2020. Now, if Shadowlands released 1 week after the book, then that would be Sunday, the 31st of November, which obviously wouldn't happen. The closest date to that is actually Tuesday, the 27th of November. So
I think it's probably going to come out. Like, the thing is, they either are going to release it in November or January. There's almost no universe where they release it in December. Because if they release it in December, that's going to be too close to Christmas. And I feel like that's going to make it to where, like, the devs won't have time to fucking, you know, I guess actually, I don't know. Like, I mean, Cataclysm came out on December 7th, but they also released the Cataclysm raids on the same day. So it's like they'd want to bring it out probably to where, like, the raids would come out in, like, the first or second week of December or the first or second week in January. I feel like it, December. Like, there's no way that it would be, like, anywhere in between that, I think.
That could be what they're doing. Now, this is obviously not an expansion moving because of a book. This is a book moving because of an expansion. If the expansion did have a November release window and was releasing on the last Tuesday of that November, then this seemingly is when they would release the book. So that does actually line up. Now, as for the book itself, well, it does seem to have a number of lore reveals. A number of influencers basically got early copies of it. Taliesin teased there being a lore reveal at the end.
Must be nice,
no idea what it is, but maybe it's a sort of thing the Blizzard planned to launch very close to the expansion's release date for some sort of reason. Anyway, there you go.
Happy
that
for
is
them.
the Shadowlands release date sort of update. Personally, I am actually expecting the last Tuesday of November.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got these...
Okay. Okay.
Sprite Darter set. Now, this is a bit of a funny one. So, this was data mined on the Shadowlands Alpha.
I remember.
And at the time, we all assumed it would just be some form of cosmetic in the game. Usually, stuff that's relating to the store is, you know, it's like encrypted and stuff. But with this, it was just data mined, right? Ages ago. But it turns out that the Sprite Darter Transmog set is actually the new 6-month subscription reward running from now to December 13th. Of course, though, it can be purchased separately for $20. Now, this is a large increase. Make no mistake, it's a large increase in Blizzard's willingness to sell transmogrification items on the shop. You had, of course, the helms, right? Like the Jewel of the Fire Lord. They were removed in 2018. And I do remember, and sadly, I remember this being said. It could have been a BlizzCon Q&A or just something like that. But I think I remember a developer saying that maybe that went a bit too far, like ages ago.
It did. I don't like it. I wish Blizzard would not do it. I really, really wish Blizzard would not do it. It's so fucking stupid, man.
But I actually can't source it, so who knows? I don't think I've dreamt that up, though.
Okay.
But yeah, they did those helms, and then they really stepped off doing any form of transmog stuff.
Yeah, because it was a cock. They didn't do it because it was a cock. They didn't want to do it because it was a fucking cock. Like, they should not have done this. Like, I don't know why they had to do it. Like, I never liked this. I was never a fan of the transmog items. I was always pissed off about this. And it's like the way I can't make them not do it, right? Like, unfortunately, I can't. The only thing that I can do is not buy them. Like, I don't buy them, I don't support them, I am not a fan of them, and I think that people that do buy them are enabling and empowering bad and unethical and unfair business practices. You pay enough money for the fucking game, you pay for your fucking sub, you buy the expansions, you should be able to get all the content in the game without having to buy it off of the store. And if you buy it with a WoW token, that means that somebody else bought it off of the store, and at the end of the day, Blizzard still got their $20 that they made with your fucking money. Fuck. I don't like it.
For a decent amount of time after the Cataclysm helms.
Yeah.
Of course, we did see other things more recently, though.
You got the cloak.
BlizzCon 2018 sold the capes. BlizzCon
It's like,
2019...
I don't hate the capes as much, because it's like, at least there's like some celebration. It's like, oh, you get this for buying an expansion, or you get this for going to BlizzCon. Like, this is like, hey, give me $20. Yeah, Bobby's got to buy a new helicopter. He needs some more money. So we put this in the store. Give me $20. There's nothing that you get out of it. Literally nothing. Like, there's no, like, this isn't like some cool like side thing or whatever. It's just, oh man, what if it was this year's BlizzCon? Well, I don't know, like, there wasn't a BlizzCon, so it's not the same thing. Yeah, it wasn't a BlizzCon. I don't know, man. I'm not happy about it at all. How do you feel about Blizzard giving all appearances in Druid forms? Who gives a fuck about Druid forms? Who gives a shit about that? Yeah, I don't like it, okay? I don't think any of this stuff is great, but I'm like 1,000 times more okay with something like this than I am with just like random store items. I'm not really okay with any of it. I don't like any of it, but it's like a matter of degree.
19 effectively sold the onesie as well.
No, I forgot all about
Shadowlands itself, if you got the pre-order of like whatever edition it was the epic edition, whatever it was, it came with an in-game transmogrification set. Then, of course, if you look at the new Recruit a Friend system, you see that, yes, it's got a mount, but it also has a backpack and a transmog and an enchant. And those are all things that, to be honest with you, I think are more likely to sell. And the reason I say that's because I just don't think mounts are as special in World of Warcraft as they used to be, right? There's so many.
There's so many mounts. Yeah, there's a diminishing return. So now that Blizzard has fucking... they've run the well dry with mounts. Now they're seeking to minimize and delegitimize another form of completionism content in their game. Yeah, they've literally squeezed that dick dry, and now they're moving on to a new dick. I don't like it.
Of them, but transmogrification, I mean, that's new tools to customize your character and tweak
exactly
how it looks. So Blizzard doing these transmogs makes a lot of sense to me.
Of course,
especially now that we've got a full transmog set in the store as a direct $20 purchase. So I think you can see how, from a business sense, that does make sense. I mean, if every 6 months it's a new mount, then people will get bored of that. So I think Blizzard would probably want to mix that up, sometimes do a transmog, sometimes do a mount. I mean, the business, right, it just makes sense there. Now, is this going to be like a special set, you know, or anything like that? No, it's not. Like
it's
the
pretty
past
cool.
6-month rewards, most dedicated players get it by default because they're on the 6-month subs anyway because it's cheaper. So this isn't a super special thing, right? It's that sort of thing where, I mean, don't get a store mount because you want to look cool and have some clout. I mean, if you want to look cool, I guess, and you really want to spend your money in that way. And clearly a lot of people do. I mean, this is an increasingly common business model. Guild Wars 2 has a lot of it, but of course that's a game without a sub fee. If you want a game with a sub fee that does it, you've got Final Fantasy XIV. It sells a massive amount of visual items. Now,
I don't like whenever, like, there's a reason why WoW is the most popular MMO by a mile. And I think one of the reasons for that is because it doesn't have shit like this. I hate it whenever people use the reasoning that, oh, well, because Guild Wars does it, it's okay that WoW does it. Guild Wars sucks. Like, Guild Wars viewer base and player base is a fraction of WoW's. Why should WoW copy the business model of something that's substantially less successful? Like, it just seems stupid to me.
As always, this for WoW, this will be a controversial move for a lot of people.
Yes.
Pure business-wise, it does make a lot of sense, though. What you would do is you would double down on whales, essentially, if we're going to use that terminology, by offering emotion-driven, direct cosmetic purchases.
Yes.
That, I think, makes complete sense from a business perspective.
This is they're whaling. That's right. That's what they're doing. They're super whaling. They're going out there and they're like, you know what? If you want to look cool, if you want to have everything in the game, give us $20. If you want to have this mount, give us $25. These are macro transactions. Like, other games have like, oh, you spend like $3 and you get something. You spend like $5 and you get something. This is a $25 mount. That's a lot of goddamn money.
And the more that you can make those be a bundle purchase, the better.
Yeah.
I'm really surprised Blizzard did not bundle this with the Fey Dragon mount. I think that would have got them even more revenue.
Probably would have been smarter.
I'm saying this from a biz perspective. I'm not advocating for it as a player or anything like that, but it just does make sense. Look.
Yeah.
Your most dedicated core World of Warcraft player, is that really, you know, who's mythic rating and doing high level keys and stuff and doesn't really care about the other aspects of the game? Are they really going to be giving you more than their sub fee? I mean, maybe they'll buy some WoW tokens, sure, but a lot of the people who just like collecting mounts, doing some reputations, hanging out with their friends, maybe doing some RP, whatever, I mean, yeah, they're going to be worth more money to Blizz because they're generally going to be more likely to get these purchases. I mean...
So they're raising up whales. They're raising them up for the slaughter. They're raising them up to just fucking take that whale and then put him on the ship and turn that fucker into blubber. Like, that's what it is, man. What's your opinion on Path of Exile cosmetics? Well, I don't know. Do you have to buy Path of Exile? No. Do you have to pay monthly for Path of Exile? No. Well, then what's my opinion on cosmetics? They're fine. Like, you're paying for it twice. It's 2 times. Fuck, man. 3 if you count the base game. 3 times you pay for the game. It's too much, man.
You sell one of these things, bam, you've already made a few months of sub. Now, I'd also then say, a lot of people will say, well, you're getting this for free, right? Because you're getting it with your 6-month sub. Yeah, but there's obviously a business angle to that. They're not just giving you them out for free. They do this at, they do the 6-month things basically to lock people in based on their current level of hype. Okay,
exactly.
So if someone's hype normally is going to be a curve like that, what they want to do is do one of these promotions at the hype curve peak, because then
that way, so you fatten the whale up, and like you've got the time where it's you know, it's getting really big. The whale is getting big and fat and blubbery, and you get him and he's almost ready, and you know what happens? You get that whale fat as fuck, and you take the fucking sword and you say, you know what, bitch, you need to give me 20 more fucking dollars. That's what happens. Fuck, man. I'll take a piss. I'll be right back. Hopefully that was that was understandable enough for people to understand it.
People
so
in
they're able
to a financial spend where the decision is made at the peak level of hype and not at the lower levels of hype, which of course will be in the months and months following an expansion or patch release. Now, this, of course, makes a lot of sense because people may only want to get Shadowlands, play it for 2 or 3 months, and then put it down and wait for the next patch. But if you can capture someone when they are the most susceptible to being captured at the peak of that hype cycle, then yes. You lock them in, you get more revenue, you stabilize your money, right? And of course, it's also pretty good for quarterlies because you are basically like actualizing a lot of future revenue in the now, which can be basically that time to actually get your revenue in, can be quite useful for a lot of businesses. So that's kind of the reason why they do things like this. Now, of course, Blizzard, there is one thing which I should mention. They do not offer this to people who purchase 6 months via Battle.net balance. Now, this is really weird because it cuts out people who pay for their sub by converting WoW token into BNet balance. Now, this is a really dumb financial move even because Blizzard make more money with WoW time that is purchased via token because of the token premium. So a bit of a funny one. And there you go. There's a new big cosmetic. I would expect a lot more of this in the future. Look, it works for Guild Wars. It works for Final Fantasy. It will work for World of Warcraft as well.
Do you know why it probably is? It's probably because enough people, if people have Battle.net balance, they're probably more dedicated to the game to begin with because they're already working with like their in-game currency system. And then they know that the people that already have like $100 in Battle.net balance, they think to themselves, hi, you know what? Those guys are fucking idiots anyway. They'll give us 20 more. Who cares? Yeah, that's probably what it is. It's crazy. What about Star Citizen? They charge thousands of dollars for ships? That's the business model of the game. You just don't play it. It's simple. Like, I don't have a problem with pay-to-win games. Who gives a shit? That's the way the game works. I have a problem with games that aren't pay-to-win and then are made pay-to-win. It's the bait and switch. That's what I don't like.
I think no matter what anybody says against this, it just is going to happen, and that's pretty much that. I mean, look, it's some of the most profitable money they can make. I mean, come on, they can go make a World of Warcraft expansion. It's a pretty expensive affair, and they can sell that, whatever. Sure, they'll get all their money, but also they can just make one transmog set and sell it for $20.
That's half an expansion.
The profitability of that is absolutely off the charts as compared to a lot of their other business operations. So it does make a lot of sense, at least business-wise. Let's move on.
What a disappointment.
We have other large Blizzard news, and some of it is kind of businessy. We have a new company being founded by ex-Blizzard staff, and seemingly the death of active development of a game that I absolutely adore. And that game is Starcraft 2. Starcraft 2 has now ceased development of paid content.
Good game
that
back
means
in the day,
co-op
man.
commanders and the various skins that were tied into esports. Now, the team still will do balance patches when it's needed, and esports will continue via their partnership with ESL and a few other things. As for the team, well, they are moving on. The post says that a part of that involves them actually stepping back from Star 2 to work out the future of the StarCraft franchise. I don't know how much I fully believe that, to be honest with you, and you'll see why in a second. Now, this is no doubt a blow to the game. I mean, the co-op content of StarCraft 2...
So they're saying they're like, we're not planning a Q4 balance update like we did a few months ago. So they're just leaving it to die? Oh no. I can't even imagine that. Like, that's, dude, like, oh, mobile. Yeah, they could be making StarCraft into a mobile game now. Oh, that's true.
Was genuinely fantastic. It's such a good game. Now, I'll say this. Over a year ago, a source told me that, and it's someone I would trust in these things, that StarCraft 2 was actually making more money than Heroes of the Storm. Now,
that's the race to the bottom. Like, that's like who gets... It's like... It's like basically... You know, back in track and field, whenever you were... You know, you had like all the kids that were like, you know, moderately athletic that finish. And then you have the two least athletic kids in the class. And like one of them is just like sitting there eating his boogers and trying to pull the legs off of a grasshopper. And the other kid falls over on a hurdle and he's like broken his leg. And you're trying to figure out which one of them is going to make it over the finish line first. That's pretty much where you're at whenever you look at Heroes of the Storm versus fucking StarCraft 2. It's just not doing too well no matter what.
Did surprise me at the time. And it's a claim that I cannot verify, even though I do trust the individual who made it. That's interesting to me. Now, my rationalization at the time, my internal sort of explanation for that was that I imagined that the StarCraft 2 War Chest cosmetics did really well. I mean, I purchased them around like a year and a bit ago. So, yeah, the War Chest thing, it's a bit like how, you know, for League of Legends, or I think for Dota that does it with the International, like, you kind of like purchase a thing for the International and you get like a bunch of stuff in-game and also stuff for like watching the tournaments. Basically, Blizzard did that.
WoW did this
I imagine that was a pretty profitable thing. It was surprising to me that Star 2 was apparently making more than HOTS, but anyway, there you go.
It's because it was a good game. That's the reason why it was popular.
Whatever it is, HOTS was
game.
obviously not worth it to Blizzard, so they, you know, ramped down on that. Star 2, obviously not worth it, so they ramped down on that. What will Blizzard do next? Will it be StarCraft 3? Will it be Warcraft 4?
That's sad.
Well, they're both potential real-time strategy games.
Dude.
And I'll say this. Personally, I would much prefer StarCraft 2, or StarCraft 3, because I love StarCraft. But
I'd like to see Warcraft 4. Personally, I would like to see Warcraft 4.
I've got to put my business cap on, and by the way, I also would love this to happen. Warcraft 4. I think Warcraft 4 would make a lot more business sense given the more broad appeal of the Warcraft brand. I
feel like Warcraft 4, the reason why I'd want Warcraft 4 is not even really for Warcraft 4. I'd like to have Warcraft 4 happen and then use Warcraft 4 as a way to kind of like segue into WoW 2, you know what I mean? Because that would be way better in my opinion than just going with like okay, well, Warcraft 4 comes out and it's like the exact same thing as what StarCraft, or sorry, what Warcraft, World of Warcraft already was. You're a dreamer? Yeah, exactly.
Compared to StarCraft. And I then have to wonder to myself, was Warcraft 3 Reforged greenlit in an attempt to actually get Warcraft RTS back into the limelight? Now, of course, that is an attempt that I'd say would have failed because Reforged sucked, basically. It was really not that well done.
Good.
Of course, I don't blame the staff on it.
As I said, guys, it was so bad that the WoW community, after Reforged, stopped asking for reforging in WoW. Think about that. Like, it was so bad that, like, remember, everybody wanted Reforging to come back? Warcraft Reforged came out? Nobody wanted Reforging anymore. They're like, please, Blizzard, don't Reforge anything again.
Blame the timelines and the resources those staff were given.
Yeah.
So that's what's up there. Who knows? I mean, will there even be another RTS at Blizzard? Like, a Warcraft 4 is really cool. I think so many of us would love this, like,
it seems super unlikely.
20-hour-long campaign to come in
and
it
just seems really, really unlikely.
Set down the law of the land for future lore. You know, World of Warcraft is kind of going out like this. Maybe it could go collapse into a Warcraft 4, and then you could have a Warcraft 4, and then the WoW expansion after that would be following on from how War 4 left the state of the world, in the same way that World of Warcraft followed on from how War 3 left the state of Azeroth.
Exactly.
I'd love to see that happen, but to be honest with you, with how absolutely wild and wacky and humongous and cosmic and, I guess, you know, very complicated the Warcraft lore is getting, I actually don't know how it would fit into a Warcraft 4, so hard to tell. Okay.
Do you guys think the Warcraft lore is getting too complicated? Yeah, do you guys think it's getting too complicated? I feel like maybe it might be. Because, like, the game, it's just, it's very convoluted now. And, like, there's so many different things in play that, like, you'd have to have basically, like, a PhD in the game to understand what's happening. and like to understand everything that's in play.
The next bit of news is Frost Giant Studios. It is a new studio founded by Tim Morton and Tim Campbell. Now, Morton was the production lead on Starcraft II Legacy of the Void, and Campbell was the campaign lead designer on Warcraft 3 The Frozen Throne. It's pretty big. After that, though, he helped found a few studios, and he ended up being, I think, the game director in Wasteland 3 with In Exile. It's pretty cool. Now, the mission statement of the company is pretty clear on their website. It says, real-time strategy returns. And if you look at the team, well, you do have lead StarCraft 2 artist and Diablo 4 principal artist on the team. That seems like a bit of a snipe from Blizzard to me.
Yeah.
You've got the senior program manager of Blizzard Esports. You've got the former...
Wait, everybody here just worked at Blizzard. Like, how many companies... I feel like Blizzard is like Africa. And, like, in 20 years... you're going to have like 20 or 30 other companies that all came from Blizzard. Like everybody just came from Blizzard some way or another. They originated at Blizzard and then they went somewhere else and now they're over there. It's insane.
Lead designer of StarCraft 2. You've got a co-op lead designer of StarCraft 2 as well. Somebody who very much did leave Blizzard to join because basically he did a Twitter post saying that, you know, after Star 2 is winding down, it's time to reevaluate things. He's moving over there. You've also got a gameplay engineer of StarCraft 2 and Warcraft 3 Reforged, and StarCraft 2 server engineer. Now, for the
every single one of them worked at Blizzard. Like literally, every single one of them worked at Blizzard. Oh my god.
Company themselves, they've got $4.7 million in seed funding. Their location also is in Orange County, California. That's very close to where Blizzard is, and given the amount of money they've got and the type of staff they have, which pretty much are all Blizzard alumni, big snipe potential. Really big snipe potential.
They just have everybody there from Blizzard.
Basically a tech director and an engineer. Now, if you look at it, they seem pretty quickly thrown together. Like their website is a bit scrappy, so I think they're in those early stages. But I've got to say, the Blizzard brain drain is going to be absolutely off the charts. I mean, they've already like lost so many people. You know, Dreamhaven.
Literally every single guy that worked there works at Blizzard. Oh my god, man. Like, it's incredible. Blizzard is a very huge company, very talented people. People make friends. The directors don't pay them well, and the talented people leave in groups of friends. I feel like that's kind of what's got to be happening, right? I mean, how do you have this many people? What does he mean by snipe? He just means, like, take people from Blizzard. That's what they mean. That's really bad. Like, to see all these people leaving Blizzard. Like, I kind of worry about that, man. I do, because like, is this gonna affect like the future of WoW? Because it's not like another company can just make WoW instead of Blizzard. Like Blizzard has to make WoW, and it's like, what happens whenever all of the people that know a lot about WoW and are really good at making WoW are like, hey, you know what? Fuck it, let's go somewhere else. That's upsetting to me, man. Like we lost Metzen, we lost like a Ghostcrawler, Jeff Kaplan's working on Overwatch. Like, what is this, man? EverQuest all over again? I hope not.
Right, you've got Mike Morheim, sort of new, I guess, publisher, and then the two studios under Dreamhaven. Those are all basically staffed with ex-Blizzard people. You've got Bonfire, which is Rob Pardo's place. You've got Second Dinner, of course, which is Ben Brode. Basically Ben Brode. And I think a bunch of the really big Hearthstone guys all left for that.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, we've all heard the tales of the various articles and exposés of, morale being low at Blizzard for the developers and stuff like that.
Jesus.
And now we've got all of these spin-out companies, and so far, they're literally all founded in and around Blizzard's area. And that means they are targeting, I would say, a similar pool of developers, people for whom it would be pretty easy to just switch their job over to one of these new spin-out studios. An interesting situation, and I think ultimately brain drain from Blizzard, right? Because now their friends, a lot of their senior friends were able to do the move and shake and to get these big seed funding deals. Well, their friends now might want them to come and work for them.
Wow.
In a new company with more autonomy. And I think for a lot of people, that's going to be a very attractive proposition.
Frost Giant Devs said that Activision wouldn't allow a new RTS at Blizzard. Well, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I genuinely wouldn't be. Like, they're so... Dude, I worry about this so much. Like, I get so sad because I think about like what happens if like Blizzard just like not really goes under, right? But like effectively goes under, and they're just like a shadow of themselves. Like what? Like I don't want to play a dead game. You know what I mean? Like, am I gonna have to start playing Fortnite? Like, am I gonna be a Minecraft YouTuber? Like, oh my god, I don't even know how to play that game. Like, it's scary to me, man. Like, I have no problem investing and playing in another game, but it's always nice to know that I can always come back to WoW, and WoW will kind of just be being WoW. And like, to think about like that not happening and that not being the case is so upsetting to me. I don't want to imagine that at all. Like yeah, I could be a Dark Souls speedrunner. That's a good idea. I like that a lot. Fuck ass, man. Like, this is scary.
Okay, next up it is Shadowlands beta development news, where Blizzard have actually posted their own development update. Yes, Shadowlands was meant to come out 4 days after this video goes live.
Yeah.
And Blizzard are making dev posts. And I think that continued work shows that, yes, the decision to delay was absolutely correct from the team. Okay, let's get into it. So, they said the Renown UI, that it's been updated, it's now got its own dedicated NPC, and they've also done iteration on the placement of loads of rewards.
Right.
Also with Covenants, they've reorganized soul binds such that the big capstone talents, the sort of more exciting, impactful ones, are actually the first ones that you unlock rather than the last. And then in some cases where they've not done that, they've actually buffed the first talent a whole bunch. Now, this is a super important thing. You'll actually get the core, cool, super powerful thing of a soul bind up front. Now that's, it's like how with your artifacts, you didn't unlock your artifact weapon at the very end, and you could get most of your power a lot more quickly than getting your final bit of power in your artifact weapon. They're trying.
Do you know what I wish they'd let you do with the with these systems in Shadowlands? I wish they'd let you play the game. And if they did that, I wonder what it would be like. It would be just like such a crazy, like, new, weird experience.
Do that again here. I think there's a whole bunch of balance reasons for that make a lot of sense within the realistic gameplay parameters of WoW, and it also will mean that soulbind swapping about the place and during your early progression will be a bit more impactful, and it will give you more power more quickly, which will reduce problems caused by gaps in player progression. Certainly, I'd say in a world where people will be shifting around, I think a little bit, around Covenants until they find like a more long-term home, I think this is probably a pretty good move. Also, Blizzard have just done balancing, on the conduits and legendaries and stuff like that generally over the last while. Moving on then, Venari, who is the Stagia NPC, she basically has new permanent upgrades for the Maw and Torghast. Now,
more systems. Like, I feel like the Maw upgrades, like, this could be cool. Like, again, I have no problem with these. Listen, I have no problem with this as long as it's account wide. Like, if I have to farm out, let me tell you guys right now, if I have to farm out the Maw items on 2 characters, I'm not going to play 2 characters. Like, I'm just not. Like, I'm not going to do the same fucking thing twice because Blizzard decided that the gameplay loop in the game was too short, so they had to artificially extend it by creating new systems at max level. I think the new systems are fine, generally, but doing them more than once is what's annoying. Like, that's the same reason why I stopped playing my Hunter. Is like, I got him geared out, and then I realized that I had to do however many fucking, like, BGs or dailies or whatever to get my fucking Echoes of Ny'alotha, and I thought to myself, fuck that. Like, I don't want to do that. That's going to take forever. Like, it's just, I just want to be able to play the game without these artificial roadblocks. Fuck.
Now, getting permanent upgrades for things like Torghast, like, that's pretty standard in the modern roguelike sort of game. And right now it includes things like your first death not counting, you having better odds for the broker to sell you cool stuff, and, an expansion of your anima power options. So
that's awesome. I like that a lot because it gives Torghast, like, permanent progression. We were even talking about that the other day. I forgot who we were talking about that with, like maybe Hazel on the Allcraft. Like, Blizzard was, we were talking about how we'd want to have permanent progression in Torghast. We're getting that. That's great. But it needs to be account wide. Blizzard, please do not make the same mistake you made with BFA. There were so many barriers to entry. 8.3 could have been so fun for so many reasons. If all you gave us was just let us put the corruptions on the gear. Let us use the essences. Let us use the gear that we already have heard. Like, it would have been so much more fucking fun. And it just wasn't. Like, I'm mad, honestly. I feel like I got cheated.
pretty cool stuff. I suppose much of this, though, will be
Yeah.
down to how much will somebody actually be farming Stygia in the maw to power up Torghast
Who the
instead
fuck
of just
knows?
getting Stygia and Torghast to spend on their Torghast gameplay. I think if that
Yeah.
balance ends up being wrong, then it won't feel too good. Now, to be honest, it doesn't seem like these things are going to be absolutely necessary to do well in Torghast, but I guess the final balancing will really make the difference there.
It depends.
Now, there
It's hard
are
to say.
also going to be upgrades for the mod that'll basically do things and make your life way nicer.
Okay.
That's stuff like traveling around more quickly and overcoming parts of the Eye of the Jailer mechanic. Now, that's not
nice.
just quality of life, because remember, your time spent in the mod
I feel like the Eye of the Jailer mechanic's stupid. I don't think that they can do it right. It feels like it's an idea that works really good in theory, but like the actual gameplay that comes out of it is just dog shit. And I don't know. Like, I like the idea, again, theoretically.
is throttled by the Eye of the Jailer mechanic. So if you can teleport around the maw faster, you'll be able to like spend more time in the maw doing things that will get you Stygia. So those things are quality of life upgrades, but they are also ones that will increase the amount of Stygia you can actually get on your character. Of course, we'll have to properly revisit and test the maw to actually get a read on all of this. Blizzard did say recently that they agreed that the maw was lacking, so we're very much hoping for good changes to be made there, especially since, I mean, you're going to be spending a lot of time there. Like, if you want those sockets and things like that, yeah, the maw is going to be a big part of that.
3 hours, doesn't matter.
Okay, next up,
it's just
experience and leveling. So in our video about Shadowlands needing a delay, we mentioned a lot of feedback from testers over leveling. People basically, without using war mode, they could max out the campaign quest XP at like level 56. Plus, they could actually miss a whole bunch of breakpoints and breadcrumbs for future zones, which ended up not being that well explained, and just stuff like that. I mean, then, people at a higher level who realized they didn't have enough XP, if they wanted to, say, go back to Bastion, the first zone, to do some side quests, they could actually find out that those side quests were green, because the scaling, basically the scaling, like, isn't really happening in the regular Shadowlands leveling. It's only happening in Threads of Fate. So you've had all of these sort of strange, confusing things going on. And to try to solve that, last week, Blizzard massively reduced XP requirements, especially for the level brackets around Ardenweald and Revendreth.
Just make it to where we can go through the quests. Like, it's not complicated, Blizzard. Like, nobody wants to spend a week leveling, okay? Like, actually, a lot of people do. I would be fine with that, but that's not the way the game's designed anymore. Like, realistically, it's not the way the game's designed. Like, I'm fine. Like, if Blizzard said, they're like, you know what, next expansion, you know what we're going to do next expansion? It's not going to be a 10-level expansion. It's going to be a 100-level expansion. And you're going all the way up to level 160, bitch. And it's going to take you months to get through all the content to even get max level. I'd be like, fuck it, dude. Let's do it. Let's go. That sounds awesome. But until they want to do that, I don't give a shit. Yeah, I want to see some actual, like, some real leveling content. Not just making 10 levels take longer. Like, right now, like, the expansion just basically increases the max level. Everybody gets the max level, and that's it. It's
now,
not
those
a big
changes
deal.
meant that you'd basically, like, almost hit level 60 by only doing the main campaign.
Exactly.
Now, though, Blizzard have slightly increased the XP requirements, but they've also increased the XP that is gained from killing mobs.
That's
now,
good.
for a more extreme example, level 58 used to need 275k. It now needs 332k XP. But XP from killing mobs has been increased from 305 to 340. Now, if we napkin math this, that's about 22% in the increase of XP needed, and about a 12% increase in the amount of mob XP gained. But of course, mob XP generally is a smaller percentage of overall.
That's not as good. That's not as good at all. Like, why overcomplicate it, Blizzard? Just wait till they add the leveling system in. It's coming.
XP gains. So yes, this absolutely is a nerf to your leveling speed, a buff to the amount of XP needed to level, I guess.
That's coming.
But to be honest, I think that's okay, actually. Like doing a handful of side quests while you level up in a RPG, I think that's reasonable enough.
Yeah,
I should
say
note
so.
though that the zones that received basically the largest increases were also the zones that had the largest decreases to XP requirements in the last change. So like the earlier levels do not have as much of an XP increase as this one. And overall, I'd say this does make complete sense because basically,
I feel like people like the leveling changes. At the end of the day, I really don't give a fuck. Like, I don't give a fuck. The fact is that, like, this is gonna take, like, I'm gonna get max level on the first day. And then, like, every other character I'm going to do it on is probably going to have, like, some sort of boost on it or something like that. So, like, who cares? I mean, it doesn't really matter a whole lot. I think they're just wasting their time trying to, like, micro-balance this. Just put it out, make the quest, like, just over-tune it to make it to where you can level up faster than you normally would. And you just have to finish the rest of the quest whenever you're max level. Give it a special reward if you complete them at max level, and that's it. Like, you don't have to redesign everything.
I think it was maybe a little bit too fast for the changes they made last week. I think right now they'll be honing in on something that's pretty much just right. This stuff absolutely needed to be changed, though, and I think it proves that we really did need that delay because leveling is only really getting to a good state, 4 days before the expansion was originally supposed to come out? I mean, come on. So for me, I'm very keen to test these in both Threads of Fate and regular leveling.
A little bit
because,
dangerous
of course, Threads of Fate, if it's good, it could be a major thing for people getting their alts up. Okay, finally, just some quickfire. So, Covenant cloaks will hide your weapon if your weapon is sheathed on your back. Some people don't like this, other people do like this, but I think it's reasonably obvious why it's going on. Your big staff would probably clip through all the geometry of your pretty complex Covenant cloak, and Blizzard probably don't want that happening. It's probably better to have no clipping, but something that just looks good, rather than to have, yes, cool, you can see your weapon and your cloak, but it's clipping and it just looks a little bit budget.
Just make 2 cloaks. Let's make one with clipping, one without clipping. This is like the hero's cloak of clipping, and there's another one that's the hero's cloak. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It seems kind of easy.
Next up, Demonology Warlocks. We've got some good news for you because your Felguard's Axe Toss is both an interrupt and a stun now. And that means that if a target is not stunnable, it can still be interrupted by it. Of course,
well, that's great because that means that, you know, Demonology Warlocks are going to be OP as fuck. As I said before, guys, like, Demonology Warlocks are either trash or broken. Like, there's no in between. There's never a point where, like, they're just good. Trash or broken, one or the other.
A good regular interrupt was a large point of criticism we heard from the demo locks after we did our demo lock video, so this will be a very welcome thing for them. Then also, basically what is a nerf that a lot of people are particularly, they don't seem happy about. I don't think it's great, but I also do think it makes sense, sort of realistically, and that is that the sugar-crusted fish feast is not usable after level 50. Now, the reason why this was used widely is that it had 10% of your mana per second regen, which was super powerful. That's a lot of mana. Blizzard, of course, recently changed the mana regen curve to favor longer periods of drinking over short little sips, for an example, between pulls. Now, of course, this is something that for the Mythic Plus community was decently important because they are on the clock. Now, I will say that this item, if it did work up to level 60, it would have felt very mandatory. It would have stuck out as the only thing you can realistically use, and if you don't use it, you're a noob, whatever.
That's true. That is true. I mean, like, the thing is that if you have, like, one option that's just better than all of the other options, it makes it to where people feel like they have to choose that option. And it contrives gameplay, and it just makes it to where, like, you have to do that. Then it becomes not an option because everybody just picks that anyway. It's the same as, like, in classic WoW, whenever you're boosting, like, boosting is so much better than leveling that everybody does boosting because of how much better it is. Like, that's it. Everybody just does it. So it's the same as, like, arcane mages. How many people are playing arcane mage in classic WoW? Basically fucking zero. Why? Because frost and fire are just way better. And so it creates this expectation that you're playing one thing because the other things are just so much better.
So that's why Blizzard killed it. I don't think it makes sense to have one item in the game that performs in a wildly different way to the others, but still, like, fulfills the same sort of gameplay niche. So is this killing fun, or is it balancing the game? kind of tricky. I think this would have been an outlier. I think the consistency in how mana regen works from items is a good thing. So I think this was likely the right move in the context of the rest of what they're doing. Even though it's not one that will be a sort of popular.
The thing is, like, it's not a problem that they nerf this. It's just that people immediately have like a bad response to it because of all of the other minor things that they're doing that seemingly have no purpose other than to micromanage the way that people use abilities and they use things. Like, so like the thing in itself is not bad. It's just that doing everything else at the same time makes people have the initial negative reaction.
Okay, there you go. That is the World of Warcraft news. And of course, some Blizzard news as well. A lot has obviously went on. It's pretty interesting stuff with the RTSs and another Blizzard spin-out studio. I mean, that's Dreamhaven and its 2 studios. And now this one, what, all within a month of each other? Pretty wild. A lot of people leaving. So yeah, there's that. And yes, I would expect by the very end of November that we probably will be playing Shadowlands. And that is something I'm pretty excited to do. In terms of other things, we did do a video going over basically all the classes we think you should check out, just for like major changes and stuff. It's a really fun video, a lot of fun you can have from it as well if you want to check out some.
I don't want fun, Bellular. I want another store mount so I can complain about it for content.
Those classes. So that was posted earlier this week. We should have a nice big lore video coming out very soon as well, and our big key binding video. And you may think key bindings, how boring. No, we've got a really, really cool key binding spreadsheet for you. We've done a whole bunch of work, and seriously, I mean, come on, right? If you buy a game and that game's got bad controls, then the game is less fun to play. So if you really think deeply about making...
It's the same as, like, I think that's really true. Like, Dark Souls 2 is, like, one of the reasons why it's bad is the controls suck.
World of Warcraft control
Very true.
Then it's, like, literally more fun to play because it controls better.
Real.
So, that's what's going on there. Of course, if you want to support us and get a whole bunch of cool things, Patreon is the place for that. We thank you for your support. Thank you for watching
I still need
today's
to sub
video,
to
and I will
Patreon.
see you next time.
I wonder if Bellular will make an OnlyFans. We'll have to find out.